Hippie Crafter. A moderately new brand to the art world is a family owned crafting business out of Florida with the motto relax, craft, and enjoy. Recently, an amazing rep from the company named Aaron reached out to see if I would be interested in trying out some of their art products. Now, being the art supply hoarder that I am, of course, I said yes after a few communications to understand the entirety of the offer. So I headed over to the website to check things out. Now, this site is bold and colorful and definitely grabs your attention from the very beginning. It was intuitive to use, and the products are geared towards both arts and the crafting community. They offer a wide range of products, giving you access to whatever medium you may use as an artist, from water soluble products to oil to polymer clay. There is truly something here for everyone. So, of course, I chose the 36 half pan watercolor set and the 72 count watercolor pencil set. Today, we are going to concentrate on the watercolor paint set with an unboxing, swatching, and preliminary painting demo. Now, in all honesty, my box arrived just a little bit disheveled and unglued. That, of course, has no bearing on the actual product and more than likely happened in the shipping. Now, the branding is straightforward and bold, which is something you all know I like. The information presented on the box is what you would expect, covering the company name, address, and contact information. It reveals that the product is non-toxic and made in China. Now, the tin itself is your standard 48 half pan tin with the Hippie Crafter logo sticker on the front. Inside, you're going to find 36 machine cut colors and a water brush. There is a digitally printed color chart showing the colors in the order they are presented in the palette. Now, because my brain works the way it does, I had to take time to rearrange the colors into rainbow order before I could move on to the swatching. All right, my friends. At this point in the video, I want to share me swatching out this paint set with you. Now, I am doing this just so you all will get a better idea of all of the colors that are included in this set. I am swatching the paints on 140-pound cold press acid-free paper. This is a watercolor block by Paul Rubens. Now, although this particular release of paper by Paul Rubens is not my favorite, it works extremely well for swatching paints. My main issue with it is that the glue that binds the block together seems to leave sizing issues around the block where you remove each sheet. So because I do not believe in waste, I figured swatching on it would be a great way to use it up. I did decide to time lapse this section of the video so that we wouldn't take up too much time with the swatching. Yet, I am hoping it moves at a moderate enough rate for you to get a good look at the saturation, brightness, and vibrancy of each color. So what I'm going to do is give you a rundown of each color in the set before we move on to a painting demo. Now, I started out by swatching the brick red. Second was scarlet red, then vermilion red. There was magenta. After magenta is amaranth red, saffron orange, pumpkin orange, yellow gold. I forget exactly what the next to the last color on the top row is, but the very last color is cadmium yellow. Then my second row starts with lemon yellow, orange yellow, yellow orange. Moving into the greens, there's forest green, olive green, cobalt green, and at this point I am swatching Viridian. Now moving into swatching grass green, which is a beautiful yellow-green color. Then Prussian green, which is a color I'm not really used to having, especially in budget convenient sets. Then we're going to swatch turquoise, which is a beautiful color and a great addition to this set. Although they may be dye-based, Still very beautiful, saturated, bright, just wonderful colors. Starting the third row, I swatched Prussian blue, and now we're going with steel blue. I have to admit, there were quite a few blues in the set, the range overall. Now, this color that I'm swatching is called phthalo blue, although I have to be honest, it's probably the only color in the set where the name doesn't really seem to go with the hue that is presented when you swatch it out. I just did not expect phthalo blue to be that purple leaning. So after phthalo blue, I swatched cerulean blue, royal blue, and now another color that I don't normally see in convenience sets. This is cobalt blue, as well as indigo, which is a very nice color to round off a really large range of blues. So I can see many landscapes, seascapes, things of that nature being done with this particular palette. But the truth of the matter is there are enough colors in here to do any type of composition. So after the indigo, I swatched violet, then going into the earth tones, starting with yellow ochre and rounding that row off with a orange red. Now, starting our very bottom row is burnt sienna, and then rust red, which in all honesty, those colors are super, super close to each other. So there might not have been a necessity for both of them. Then we're swatching burnt umber. After burnt umber, I'm going to swatch sepia. After sepia, we'll move into swatching the raw umber. And the very last color in this 36 set was black. I was really happy to see that they decided not to include a white. And that rounds off the swatching, my friends. Next, we're going to be moving into a painting demo so that you can get a better look at the paints in use and how they will work in a composition. So to round everything off, friends, we are going to conclude with a painting demo as we wrap up this first look at this set of paints. Now, I have to admit that up until this point, I've been okay with how they've performed, considering the fact that I do know that this is a craft brand of paints. It's meant to be more of that fun, creative set that will allow you to have some primaries that you can mix with, but also plenty of convenience colors, just in case you are not someone who is accustomed to mixing, or maybe you simply just don't feel like it. There are plenty of colors for that. So now I'm creating on Soho Urban Artist 140-pound cold press acid free 25% cotton paper. This is a 5x7 block, which I picked up from Jerry's Autorama. I do like this paper. I actually like it a little bit more than Canson and some versions of Strathmore as well. Of course, I'm using the crappy the Hippie crafter Hippie crafter paints, and I'm using a set of Artigra brushes. They come in flats and rounds. They're synthetic squirrel, really affordable set of brushes. I really, really do like them. Now, I started with the background, and I'm using cad yellow. I'm using a color called steel blue, which looks like it has a phthalo base to it. I'm using an olive green. I'm using an amaranth red, which is more of a crimson rosy color. I'm using a little burnt sienna. And then I'm also going to be mixing all of these together in order to keep harmony. Now to the background, I pretty much added all of those colors. I gave that time to dry, and now I'm going to go in and just paint in the composition. Now, I'm doing a flower, which I haven't done one in a while in videos, but this one is not going to be something that's really too in-depth or too detailed. I'm going to keep it light, try to keep it airy. I'm working with a few different color combinations than I normally do when it comes to a flower. But this is a magnolia, and I took time to sketch it out on a blank piece of paper before I transferred it to the actual watercolor paper that I'm working on. Please keep in mind that you do not need to be this extremely talented drawer in order to paint. If you can't draw the magnolia, don't feel bad tracing it. it's okay, especially if you're doing it just to practice. Grab your coloring book and trace a magnolia out of that. Print you one off of the internet, find you a royalty-free site, or just simply Google coloring book page for a flower or whatever it is. Just keep in mind, when it comes to somebody else's line work, please don't, sell it or use it in commission work. But to practice with, by all means. And I'm just testing paints here. Now, I sketched out my own, but even if I had have drawn it, if I had have traced it, I'm sorry, I'm just doing this to test paints. So there's no harm, no foul, I do not believe. Now, I'm going in on the leaves with the olive green first. And I'm actually going to be using a purple in my shadows, which is something I don't normally do. I thought it would stand out really well against what is going to be a white flower. And I'm also going to be using that purple in the shadow of the flower. So, as I said earlier, I'm really kind of venturing out and playing with the paints a little bit. I really want to see how they mix together on the paper, whether they're going to make mud when I mix more than one color together, how they react to the different techniques I use in my painting style. As you will see, I've already grabbed my credit card scraper. I'm going into some of these leaves. I'm scraping in the veins. And of course, that abrades the paper and gives you permanent definition. So, I won't be able to change that. But that's okay because, again, I'm really seeing how these paints will work with the different techniques that I normally use. And I was really excited about using this purple in the shadows. I just love the dark saturation that it gave. And it was a really refreshing change from using my normal color mixtures, which are like an ultramarine and a burnt sienna, or ultramarine and like a burnt umber or a raw umber in order to mix my neutrals. So, and I am giving this time to dry as I go. This is time lapsed just a bit, but not nearly as much as the swatching section was, simply because I really did want you to be able to see what I'm mixing here and the techniques that I'm using to paint with. Now for the branch, it's a little bit different color combination. Again, here I used the burnt sienna and I'm mixing that more crimson color into it, simply because I want to use it in more than one place. The thing about colors in your composition, continue, if you're aiming for color harmony anyway, continue to mix your colors and kind of use the same colors over and over. Now, that's not to say that if you are a convenience color painter and you don't really mix colors, that you can't achieve color harmony. Just try not to use every color in the palette unless you're intending to do that. Pick you a couple of colors, 5 or 6 of them, and try to kind of stick to those versus using the entire palette. It'll just help your painting have a little bit more of a artistic feel, a little bit more of an experienced feel to it. So yeah, now I am still using that purple in those shadows for my branch. Now I did mix the burnt sienna and that red together, as I said, but then I'm using some purple in order to add into the areas where the leaves kind of overlay on the branch. And as I go throughout the painting, I'm going to be using that darker purple that I mixed for pretty much all of my shadows. Now, I am going to probably cut out this point. Feel like I've talked enough. I'm hoping that throughout the course of this video, you guys have kind of got a chance to get a really good look, first impression of this paint set. Now, honestly, I probably could go ahead and do a review because I'm pretty familiar with this type of paint, but in all fairness, I've decided that I am going to do at least one more illustration before I jump into the review, and maybe we'll do the review live. I haven't really decided yet, but it will be coming up over the next week and a half or so, so definitely stay tuned for that. Jump in the comment section, friends. I'm really interested in knowing if you've had a chance to try out the Hippie Crafter paints. If so, what do you think of them? What was your experience with them? Again, I'm almost there on what I feel about them, but I'm just curious if anyone out there has. if you've even heard of the brand, because it was pretty new to me when the rep reached out to me and asked me if I would like to try them. So I'm just curious about what's out there in the art community. Friends, if you are returning to the channel, if you're new to the channel and you have not subscribed, please consider doing so. It's going to give you the chance, after hitting the notification bell, to know when we go live and when we upload. And I would love to see more of your presence in the thrifty art community. You guys really make doing all of this worthwhile, and I just can't thank you guys enough for all of the love and the support that you have been showing the channel. I really do appreciate that. You can check the video description for all of the relevant links. It's going to give you the Thrifty Apprentice website, where I always encourage you guys to go and check things out. Palm Street, all of the social links are in the video description. The most recommended product list, where you can find some of the products that I've had a chance to test and review, and are recommending them as a really great quality budget product. And most of them you can find a review for under the Thrifty Review playlist, which you can access simply by hitting the playlist tab from the main page of the YouTube channel and just searching for the Thrifty Review playlist, and having many different reviews there, including all of those that's on the most recommended product list. And lastly, in the video description, you'll also find the artist wish list, which is in case you ever decide that you would like to support the channel, something you may want to check out. So please kick back, relax, enjoy the rest of this painting demo. Don't forget to let me know what you think of the paints so far. I would really like to hear from you guys, and definitely stay tuned really soon for a review that should be dropping for these paints. In the meantime, enjoy yourselves, and remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, my friends, just keep creating. Bye.